Yo, it's Ethan McKinley's Questionable. Hit the music. Ba, 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 ba. Brendan COONEY. Oh my God, you're there. How are you, Brendan COONEY?
Good, man. It's been a while.
It's been 3 years, I think, this month. Full disclosure to anyone listening, this is Brendan COONEY, the Louisiana-born stand-up comedian.
No, I wish. I'm from Virginia.
Oh. Anyone
just-
that... I was going to say, anyone that's listening, we kind of, you'd been doing a stand-up about 2 years before I started. We started kind of on the same night at the comedy club, Comedy Store, I think, on Sunset Boulevard. And I was like outside, and I went, he looks really funny and friendly. So I started chatting to you and a guy called Josh Baker, another stand-up. And I guess that was it. The rest is history. I came back to England, couldn't find anywhere to do open mic nights. And you fortunately have carried on, and you've gone from strength to strength. So welcome to the show, Brendan. How are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I just woke up from a nap, and then I logged into Skype, and now I guess we're on a show.
We're on a show, so it's it's all good. I don't know. I just wanted to talk to you because you're like the funniest fucking dude I know.
Oh, thanks, man.
You are. I don't know. I feel this weird bond with you. I have no idea why. So we've stayed in touch, but I've not actually spoke to you in person for like 3 goddamn years. Well, maybe 2.5. I left LA in the summer of, I think, 2013, wasn't it?
Something like that. I remember we went to that, the French Quarter place. Yeah, I feel the same bond. I even remember the last place that we ate.
They've taken that away, haven't they? The French Quarter in was it on Melrose?
Yeah, I was in WeHo. I think that place is closed down. Their food sucked, and I think they went out of business.
So what's been going on in LA? I mean, when we first met, can we backtrack? You'd done stand-up comedy leading up to that point, hadn't you? Because we did the open mic night at the Comedy Store together. That was my first night. I think I did okay on my first run, and then I completely bombed the next the next time.
Yeah, that's a tough room, though. The Comedy Store, the open mic, especially back then, it was sort of designed for the comedian to fail. So.
Well, I think all open mic is designed for the comedian to fail. I guess you don't really start getting better as a comedian until you keep failing. I think that's the kind of that's what hit me when I started doing it. Was I could coast initially on my, hey, I'm from England, I'm charming, I'm talking to people in the audience, and I think as soon as you hit that wall of like, oh shit, you have to say jokes and stuff. I didn't sign up for this. It's kind of I don't know. You kind of have to start peppering, I guess, the entire act in a sense with jokes, and then you kind of rely on the audience of the lags in a sense. But I guess you've gone on through that, and you've gone from open mic to now paid regular. How long has it taken you as a comedian to kind of go from that to this?
Well, I don't know. When I first moved out here, I did comedy before LA. I did comedy in Arlington, Virginia, which is like near DC and Maryland and all that. And I thought it was really easy out there, so I thought I was like a great comedian, and I was going to come to Los Angeles and just be like the funniest person. And then when I went to LA, I sucked.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone's like way better than me, but I just struggled through it and kept doing it. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't know, I think a lot funnier than I was when I came here. But I'm definitely not I mean, I've gotten paid a few times this week, but I'm definitely not a paid regular anywhere yet, but someday maybe.
Did you do comedy in Boston at all? Because you studied in Boston, right?
Yeah, I went to Boston University. No, I never did comedy out there.
That's really strange to me because I guess Boston's maybe a tougher place than even Los Angeles in a sense. It's got such a great scene there. You've got something like great legendary like room murdering comedians like Jay Leno, Louis C.K., Doug Stanhope, Stephen Wright, Joe Rogan, Bill Burr, who you remind me very much of.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think I was too, like, back then in college, I didn't even think that was a thing I could do, like, write a joke. I would just joke around with my friends. I didn't think I could actually, like, sit down and write jokes and all that.
So you did comedy in Louisiana, but then didn't do it in Boston while you were at uni?
Yeah, no. Virginia, man.
What do I keep saying, bloody?
Louisiana. Not a Cajun. But yeah, no, I was just too chicken back in school, and then when I was in Virginia, my friend signed me up for this like at this dive bar. They had a shitty open mic,
Sure.
so kind of signed me up, and I did it, and I did really well the first time because all my friends were there. And I was like, oh, I'm great, so I'm gonna keep doing this. And then it was just a lot easier to make people in Virginia laugh than it is comedians in Los Angeles who are trying to make it themselves. So once I moved out to LA, I got slapped in the face.
How long has you been there when we first met then?
I don't really remember, man. I think probably like less than a year though, because like you were probably one of the first friends I made out in Los Angeles. You and Josh. So I forgot, probably like a few months or something.
I think people don't understand that about Los Angeles as well. It's kind of, even though it's like there's so many people there, is it 30 million, I think? But it's like very lonely in a sense that it's very difficult to make friends because there's always something better around the corner for other people. So if you make plans, they suddenly just cancel on you and they've got something better to do, or people like kind of like nose around you in a sense and find out who you are. And if you're not anyone happening or special or connected, they kind of like drop you very quickly. It was a very lonely experience for me when I was out there, not just like in comedy, just in general. I don't know why I like gravitated towards you and Josh, but yeah, it was a very strange place, really.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty lonely. I did a lot of panic eating then and now, but I don't know, man. You make it sound like you were super lonely. You were like, well, I don't want to tell your secrets or whatever, but I don't think you were like ever like yearn for the company of women while you're out here. You seem to be doing pretty well in that department.
I think I was in my last month. But I don't know. It's not really. It wasn't really about that for me. When I got there, I didn't have a visa at the time, and I thought, I can just get a job anywhere. I can speak English. I'm charming, and no one would give me a job. I applied to like 108 jobs on Craigslist. One of them was a runner on a porn set down in the valley, and that was a no from them as well. I'm not even kidding. And the last place,
porno job.
Yeah,
you like clean up the bunk bed from
being a fluffer.
That's terrible. I remember, that was like, I remember that pissed me off that they wouldn't hire you because you would like take a bus to all these different places, go to like 5 jobs, and they kept telling you like, no, we don't accept British people here. It's messed up, man.
Well, it was just the visa thing, really. I just assumed, I guess, wrongfully and probably a bit racistly. I thought, I've seen like Cheech and Chong movies. You can just like, LA's full of like immigrants and hardworking people who may not be there legally. I'm a hardworking person. I'm not legal, but I can, I'm English speaking. Who wouldn't want me?
Hey, it's weird. I don't know why that it would be easier for somebody like from Mexico or something than a British person. But
well, I suppose I guess if you knew the inside track and you kind of willing to do gardening and stuff, I would have done that. Not a problem. I mean, all these jobs I applied for were so like wacky and out there, like some of the things. And the last, I basically did a walk of Sunset Boulevard because I'd never seen it, and then as I got down to the Comedy Store, I thought I'll go in here, and I met Adam, the manager. I think he's still there, isn't he? And
Adam, oh yeah. He's you mean Adam Egget? He's the main guy now. Adam.
Yeah. Well, I went in there, asked for a job. He said we'd get fined so much by the IRS, the club would be ruined, so we can't give you a job. But you seem like weird and funny, so why don't you do the open mic night tonight?
Yeah.
So I came back and like Boom Shakalaka I met as well outside. I thought he was like this homeless guy, and he was like selling CDs. Do you know who he is? You remember him?
Yeah. No, he's still there. He's like a personality at the store. He's a homeless dude that he sells bootleg stuff, and he's part of like a crazy dude.
I hear him mentioned on podcasts and stuff, but no one's like mentioned him for like a long time. So I'm just like, is that guy still okay? Is he still alive? He was the first person I really talked to. He's like, you here for the comedy? And I was like, yeah. So I like waited around an hour, and then all these like, there was this kind of like, this like growing raft of people just like accumulating around the club and putting their names down. And and then I met you, and I just, I don't know, you just seemed really funny to me. You'd not even said anything. So I was like, I'm going to talk to that guy. But how many times, when you started, you'd been there a year, hadn't you? You've been doing open mic regularly.
Yeah. I basically do open mics every night, and then if I don't have a show, I'm just doing open mics.
So how does it begin for a comedian when you go from open mic to kind of when did you start? When you learned were coming unstuck on stage, what was the problem? Do you think with your comedy when you got to LA? Because you thought you were pretty good back in fucking not Louisiana. Like,
I don't know. I think maybe like.
What were your jokes like when you first started? When you like were back home?
Really, really dumb stuff. Like I remember I had a joke that wasn't even really my joke about a woman who.
Is that the who be throwing hams?
Yeah, throwing hams. Like somebody just told me that story, and I thought I'm so dumb. I thought it was a real story, and I was like, "Can I use that in stand up?" And they're like, "Yeah, definitely."
I thought that was funny though. I genuinely did.
Joke, you know? I mean, it's not even a thing that happened. That's the only joke I had like that. But I'm trying to think like what's another like really dumb. I don't know. I used to tell a joke about how like I was at the dentist and the dentist made my teeth bleed, so I smeared the blood all over my face and went out into the waiting room. Was like, more babies. It's just not. It's stupid. It's not like it's not like a clever thought out joke. And where do you go from that? There's nothing that like you can develop on that kind of joke. I don't know. I guess I try to talk more about my life and stuff I'm thinking about now in a clever joke form. I don't know. I actually don't know what the difference is from then and now. I think it's just experience for the most part.
Yeah. So Adam said this to me. He said kind of like the first few times you do stand-up, I think because you're in front of a room full of strangers who are already predisposed not to like you because you're coming up there essentially saying, I'm going to make you laugh. And they're like, okay, prove it. And the audience, I think, in a sense, especially if you're a young comedian, you don't know. It's a difficult thing to win over. It's a kind of a mass hypnosis in a sense that you're trying to get the audience on board with your point of view and almost kind of like you're thinking for them in a sense. So they're laughing at your point of view, even if it may not be their own. I guess comedy in a sense is like, oh, that's what I think, but I've never been able to articulate it. This guy's kind of doing that for me. When Adam said that to me, he said, you're going to kind of keep doing this and it's going to be terrible and you're going to keep bombing over and over again. And then one day you'll come to this like point in your mind or your life as an open micer and you'll go, I don't give a fuck anymore. And he said, when you stop caring about winning the audience over, you relax and that's when you start being funny. So I thought that was like a really profound thing to say, but I think
it sounds right, but I don't know if I'm definitely not at a point where I don't care what the audience thinks. I care deeply what the audience thinks every time I go up there for the most part, unless it's like a dive bar with 4 people in it and an open mic at 1 a.m. Then I'll say whatever I want.
No, I just think he meant it. I just think he meant it in the sense that if you don't worry about what their response is, you relax, and therefore it becomes more your own voice, or you're not concerned with how they're going to judge you, whether you're funny or not. And I guess when you relax into that, maybe Bill Hicks had that quality in a sense that you kind of like, you're not worried about what they think. You're just kind of reflecting and musing on what's happened in your day, what's happened in your life and stuff. And
yeah, that's cool that you got to talk to Adam too, because like, I mean, that guy's like that's the main guy at the store now. He's the talent booker. There used to be a dude named Tommy, but he got fired because, I don't know. It's like, and a lot of people like had bad stuff to say about him, so he got the boot. And then now this Adam guy is like, that would be a good guy to get your first comedic advice from, I guess. You should come back, man. I wonder if he remembers you.
Oh, he wrote. Well, I think that's the problem. I think that I had. It was just. I think I kind of like. I think I was like halfway through my trip, or like had a month left. But for such an auspicious comedy start, meeting Adam and himself and getting advice from him, and then going up on the freaking Comedy Store stage, where like Steve Martin, Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks, Lenny Clark, Steve Carell, you name it, Jim Carrey, Barry Crimmins, all these like great legendary comedians, Robin Williams have trod the boards. It was a remarkable start to first do it.
I met Jim Carrey there. It was dope. When I did a roast battle, and Jim Carrey came up and watched it. And afterwards he told me, good job. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Well, that guy's really nice, by the way. I mean, I didn't really talk to him or anything, but he was talking to everybody.
Well, I think Rogan was talking about that, and Brian Redban. Have you done his show, by the way? Was it Thunder Pussy and Kill Tony?
No, I mean I did kill Tony once, but that was when I first started. I was pretty bad back then, but no, I've never done the Ice House show that they do.
Might be
I
so.
know people that have done it.
Because I remember, like, the first year I got back, I was constantly, you've got to go to this thing, constantly sending you links to it and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
I
you,
don't really like the idea of doing 1 minute of stand up in front of people and then having them judge you.
mm,
Not really. I mean, I don't know. It's not really
it's not your
my.
thing.
Yeah, I'd rather do open mics or the roast battle or just longer or like a longer set than that. I kind of feel like the first time I did it is like 1 minute of stand up that's terrible. That's like there for all eternity. The people can go like watch that and be like, look at how bad he was. That guy sucks or something like that. And now it's like there for history to watch, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But oh well. It's not like I did really, really bad. It wasn't great.
Well, I mean, well, I guess the first time I saw you, and I guess I saw Josh as well, because we did like the rounds. You kept doing open mics and stuff, and I'd go along with you, and I just was blown away by it. The fact you guys had like what 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you were kind of consistently getting laughs. I think for the most part, I was just in awe of all that stuff. I really couldn't believe it. So yeah, how many minutes are you on now? Because how long does it take to develop an act from, like, say, scratch? Do you just keep going up and testing jokes, and the ones that hit, you just keep adding them up in a kind of chain, in a sense, until you've
Yeah.
got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and what have you?
Everybody does it differently, I think, but what I do is I just try and at the open mics I try and do like new jokes and then old as a mix of new and old, and then if I try and blow stuff out, and like if I have a joke I try and add on it or whatever. And I'm gonna headline for the first time on this Saturday. I'm gonna headline at this like shitty place in the Nowheresville of California, but I'll see how many minutes I have. I'm gonna do at least 30 and maybe an hour.
Wow.
We'll see how much. Then I'll have a better idea, because I've never done over like, I don't know. I would say like the most I've done is probably 20 to 25 minutes of stand up at a time. So like we'll see how much I really have after I do this.
How long did it take you to get to that long? Because what were you on when we first met? You were a year in, say, to of comedy, right?
To be honest with you, I've thrown away most of the stuff that I did when we first met.
Oh
that
no,
was
yeah,
when I was
absolutely.
my like shitty comedian phase of like doing jokes about the dentist and throwing hams. So I like I had jokes that are like oh, I forgot. I had jokes that were like you might say that they were homophobic or racist, you know, like, so I'm not doing those jokes.
They're the best ones. LA's quite very liberal, isn't it? And it's like super, like, it's not like, it's very kind of like, I guess the Bernie Sanders, like, everything's accepted, everyone's cool. Transgender, gay, you can't say this, you can't say that. As a comedian in LA, is it difficult to kind of like come up with an act that doesn't offend people? Because the kind of comedy I prefer is the stuff that takes no prisoners, offends everybody. I guess more of that Boston, New York style. Whereas I guess LA, is it more difficult to do that there?
I mean, I don't know if it's more difficult than other cities to do it, but it might be a little bit at times on depending on where you are. If you're doing a more alty crowd or an East Side show, or I mean not just LA. And like if you're doing, I've seen people do comedy in San Francisco. People they sort of make fun of how sensitive people are, but I think for the most part, if you're at a comedy show or a comedy club, you're probably okay with it. But no, that's definitely a thing though. I remember like my friend, he did this show that's popular in LA, and he was like making fun of girls that are at the bus stop or something like that, because sometimes in LA there'll be like a hot girl at bus stop, and this girl yelled out and heckled him like what are you talking about, the bus or whatever? And he was like, what, did you ride the bus here? And then everyone laughed at her, and the show kept going. So like I think for the most part people are cool with it. It's just like some people are too sensitive, but I think probably more than that, there's people that are just straight up saying things that are super offensive or racist, and it's like, yeah, of course it's offensive. So
have you had anyone like heckle you or get up and walk out because of something you've said on stage?
You know, to be honest with you, no, not really. And I think for the most part, like my stuff is pretty unoffensive. Like it's not like I'm actively trying to be unoffensive. It's just like the way I write comedy is rarely.
Are you a clean comedian then, not a dirty one?
Nah, I can be sort of dirty, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, like I'm fairly clean. I think for the most part. I don't know. I have a joke about like how this guy knocking on my door, I could tell by the way the knock sounded that he was Spanish. That's probably the closest I have to something that's racist. But yeah, I don't know. I think for the most part, yeah, I'm fairly clean when it comes to comedy.
So how long did it take for you to get to this like 30 minutes, 45 minutes area with your kind of act in a sense? Because you've dumped all the stuff that you had when we first met, obviously, and I guess a comedian has to do that because like Bill Burr does a new show every year, Carlin did a new show every year, and that's like an hour. So that's like to write that up every year and then perform it.
It's
Like,
impressive.
yeah, super impressive. I think even like like famous comedians are in awe of that. Like Louis C.K.'s output is just freaking remarkable, man. It's just he does TV shows, he does his stand up, he does all this other stuff, and he fits it all in, and then recycles something like doesn't recycle, like dumps it, and then just comes up with a new act. I don't know how they do it. I don't like. How long did it take you to get to this kind of like 30, 45 minute act area?
Well, like when we met, I was doing maybe like I don't know 3 mics a week or something like that, and now I do mics every night, and I try to get on shows too. So like it's easier to develop content when you're doing it every night. So I think probably like a year, 2 years is where of serious comedy has given me like the amount of minutes I have now. I don't know, something like that. But I'm probably not even like I don't know, maybe like a year and a half of just like doing it every night.
So because when I got back to England, I think one of the good things about LA, the LA comedy scene, is I guess all the clubs do open mic for the most part, don't they? You just have to pick your days, right? Because you've got what is it, the Laugh Factory? You've got Adam at the Comedy Store and stuff. What was that place we went to in Universal City? Do you remember that bar?
That's still going. They have all types of terrible shows there. University Bar and Grill or Universal Bar and Grill. Actually, you know what? I was there last night, bombing in front of drunk like rednecks that were like throwing stuff at the bartender.
Because that's a 10-minute show, isn't it? And then someone comes up and does another one, right?
Yeah, that place. I mean, last night they gave me 15 minutes, so that's a cool thing about it. It's like you can do more time there. But yeah, like with the clubs, it depends. Some like the Improv and the store have Sunday night ones, which you can actually get up at, and then the store now has they always have this thing called potluck on Monday. That's the one that you did.
That's where we met. Yeah. I did a few
It used
of
to
those.
be like you would go there, but they'd have like prearranged shit going on. But now it's pretty much random. I think for the most part, except if you're like a ridiculously big name, they put you up. They actually changed it so it's easier to get up at random at the store, which is cool. And then the Laugh Factory is Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that's good though, because I mean, like I said, when I came back to England, I tried the Comedy Store London, which is nothing actually to do with the Comedy Store LA or New York or anywhere else for that matter. It's kind of, they've just stolen the name and the kind of font and branded themselves the comedy club, and they only put like star comedians on. They do an open mic night, but I think it's every 2 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's remarkable. I think the beauty of it, like LA especially, I'm not sure about Boston or New York or even Austin, Texas, but like they'll put you on, like that potluck thing starts and then it finishes, then you've got like giant world famous comics going up after you or mixed in and stuff. I think that's just amazing, because I think people bombing or not doing so well is just as funny sometimes, as for the audience at least, as somebody was funny. In England that's really not the case, and that's the kind of brick wall I hit when I got back here.
Sounds like it's tough out there. I mean, I can't imagine English people wanting to go to open mics and stuff like, oh, enough of that there, you know?
Yeah,
like
no, absolutely. That's kind of what,
or something like that.
Yeah, because when I got back, I was on fire to do it, and it was just like, oh, there's this night, but it's every couple of months, and like to put all the open mics together, I would have done maybe 2 a month, but I just need to do more research into it. I think that's why I did this podcast and the other podcast I did, the Terminator one, just so I can like have an outlet for being funny.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. It's weird though, man. I think that British people are hilarious. Like, I mean, a lot of times you guys aren't even trying to be funny, and I think what you say is funny.
Of course we are, governor.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm hilarious.
Just the word governor makes me laugh when a British person says it. So it's like this bird comedy scene's built for you guys. Like, so, like some of the funniest people are British. John Cleese and who else? I don't know.
Oh well, I mean we've got a great pedigree. We've got like Blackadder and stuff, and we've got lots of really good, I think, television comedy. But I think stand up, I really like Americans are like, there's no one can touch you guys. I think we've got comics here; they're all very good and stuff. But like, if you mixed in, I guess, a Jimmy Carr here, or not, it's a different comedian, of course. But like, if you mix one of our guys in with like Doug Stanhope or Bill Burr, they just get murdered. Like,
Yeah, I've never really seen Jimmy Carr stand up, but I know he did win the. There was like a big roast battle thing at Just for Laughs, and he was the guy that won that.
well, he's very good at wordplay and putting people down. That's kind of what his comedy is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not really my thing.
Yeah, or people will shout something from the audience and he'll pick up on it. He's like super smart, super fast. But I kind of like, I've always preferred that American style, that kind of like in your face, no holds barred, no one is safe, kind of, no prisoners comedy. And I think maybe Frankie Boyle in this country's maybe closest to that.
I gotta check him out. I don't know.
Yeah, like he's really good. Stuart Lee's like a very much more intelligent, intellectual kind of comic.
He's like a real liberal guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's a strange mix in England. It's a great mix, but I think compared to the Americans, I guess you guys maybe invented it apart from jazz, right? Is stand-up comedy an American invention?
I don't know, probably, because I would think, cause it's like I think it came from vaudeville.
Have you never thought of going like back to go to Boston and try comedy there? Because from what I've heard from all the comedians I listen to, Boston is such like a hardcore kind of like tough place to crack in a sense, and the audiences are like super harsh, and you have to be like super strong to kind of like take them down if they start heckling you and stuff. Have you ever thought of like trying like an even tougher comedy platform, as I understand it, than LA?
I don't know, man. I've never I've never done comedy in Boston. I mean, maybe if you go, yeah, I don't even know what the comedy clubs are really in Boston, but yeah, they definitely like, maybe there's, on just the East Coast in general, it might be a little bit.
There's just so many like legendary comedians that have come out of there, like Nick DiPaolo, Mindy Kaling, Rachel Drath, oh God, who else? Amy Poehler, like women as well, Lenny Clark, as I said before. Patrice, my favorite.
They probably end up going to New York for the most part, those people. I think like Lenny Clark at a comedy club with this other dude in Boston and Cambridge for a while. That was like a famous club for Boston comedians, but I think that's like over with. It's like an older club that's shut down by now. I
was going to say, do you ever get nervous on stage still?
Oh yeah, man. I pretty much get, for the most part, I get nervous every time. And then if I'm doing really well, I'm not as nervous. I need to make them laugh a bunch of times, and I'm like, okay, these people don't hate me. I can make them laugh.
How's Josh, by the way, that we started together with, or I started with? Did you know Josh prior to that? Or did I kind of like stick us all together outside the Comedy Store that time?
Yeah. No, I knew him because we did I tried to do improv, and he was in my improv class.
Is this Groundlings, or is it Upstanding Citizens Brigade, right?
Yeah. UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, or whatever. And we did that, and we were friends from that. I don't know, Josh doesn't do stand-up as much. Every once in a while, he'll hit me up like, hey, I want to go to an open mic, but I think he's more sort of like trying to be an actor or something, but I'm not sure.
The thing is, I thought he was doing really well, because didn't he get wasn't he doing the back room at the Comedy Store for a while?
Well, that's not really, I mean, anybody can really do that. It's not, all you need to do is bring people for those shows.
No, I thought he was like a paid regular or something. He'd kind of got some footing through at the Comedy Store.
No, he's paid regular. That's actually like a really hard thing to get. They'll pick like maybe one or two people a year for the most part.
Whoa.
To do that. So like that's something that you have to put a lot of time in at the store usually to get that.
Because is Mitzi Shaw still? Does she still own it, or has she passed away?
She's alive, I think, but she doesn't really. I think she's like sick.
She's in her 80s, right?
Yeah, she's very old, and she's not really involved in
this. This is what was I going to say? Paulie Shaw's mom, listeners who we all remember from Encino Man from the 90s and stuff.
He's there, but I think for the most part, that guy Adam decides who like is a paid regular or gets on, you know.
Damn.
And who he puts up. And paid regular just means that, like, or at least I think what it means is that, you know, they put you on in that where you get the 15-minute spot on one of those like nights where they have everybody in. I can never remember which one is the main room and which one's the original room, but that room in the front that you walk in.
Well, the room in the front, yeah, the room in the front is, I think, the original room. I think the back room is the main room, is it?
I can never remember, dude. I've been told a million times. I've been there so many times.
Upstairs is the belly room.
That's the only one I remember.
Yeah.
And it's usually the one that I'm in. Because the few shows I've been on at the store have been roast battle shows.
How do they work, by the way? Do you have kind of like things you've kind of written down before you get there? Because a roast battle essentially is insulting someone, and it's you versus either another comedian or a bunch of comedians versus one guy, right? Who they just
usually it's one person versus another person. And so yeah, like what you do is you just write down a bunch of insults. You practice them at open mics beforehand, and then you go up in front of the crowd. And if there's an undercard and a main card. The undercard is like 3 or 4 jokes or something, or a minute, and then the main card is 3 rounds. And then if you're in the main card, the celebrity judges vote each round if you've won the round or not. And then there's stand-up before it too. There's like a stand-up show. So if you do the roast, you can get on the show.
What's more fun to do at the moment? Is it just stand-up or doing the roasts, or are they both equally as good?
I prefer to do stand-up. The roast is sort of just like a way of getting on the show.
Right.
So you do stand-up. I mean, it's cool to like come up with insults, but at the same time, it's like, what are you gonna do with that? It's not gonna do like, it's not gonna get me anywhere. Like all these jokes I wrote about the Asian guy that I roasted. You know, I'm not gonna put that in my eventual hour of stand-up.
No. What are the audiences like? What's the worst experience you've had with an audience? Do you when you go on stage, you get this sense sometimes that they're against you, or they're like, you can feel it from the audience, I assume, right?
Yeah, so I guess I feel like for the most part, I usually don't get that people being against. I don't know. I remember one time I did like, I haven't had any really bad shows, but I've had like a few mics where, like, I don't know, on the east side is very like hipstery. And they just look at me like, oh, great, this bro that like bullied me in high school is trying to make me laugh now, so they're not gonna listen. But I feel like even then, like, you know, if you're really, really good, you can make people laugh, you know. So you should be able to. But I don't think I haven't had like super bad stuff. There was an open mic actually this week where a comedian got naked on stage, and then they kicked him out. And then another comedian started heckling everyone. A bunch of people called him racist, so they were fighting each other at the open mic. That's probably the worst experience I've had recently, because it was just awkward to sit through.
Oh my god!
Okay, where do we go from here? This is weird.
So this thing you're coming up where you're going to be headlining, is that going to be? How does that begin? When is it?
It's Saturday. It's at some bar in Tulare, California, and it's like just some guy who saw me at a mic was like, hey, we're looking for people to headline or non-traditional headliners, and he asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, why not? I want to try and do that.
And what have you got? You've got like 30 minutes, right?
I mean, I don't really know what I have. I'm not somebody like, I'm not as a lot of people like time how much like affect like minutes they have, and like which jokes are like the best or whatever, and like all that, but I don't have that yet. So I know I have at least like somewhere around that, and I'm just gonna go there and see how it goes.
So how do you prep for a show leading up to this then? Do you kind of just go over your act the day or two before, or do you just let's say it's 30 minutes, you just do 30 minutes at home when you've got time after work and stuff like that?
I mean, that's probably what I'm gonna do. If it's like a really big show, which this is not to me. I want to do well and all that, but this is kind of like in the boonies of California. I might not practice as hard, like exactly what I'm going to say. Plus, I want to, since it's an hour, since I might be able to do an hour or whatever, there's going to be a lot of it that's just me kind of talking on my feet when I'm there, probably. Yeah. So I want to leave some wiggle room. But if it's like a big show that's like, I don't know, like if I'm in a festival and I make it to the next round of the festival, or I want to win it or something like that, I'll come up with like exactly what I'm going to say, and then I'll time it out exactly so it's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever.
You should come. You should come to London.
I'd love to come to London, man.
I think the Brits would be impressed with you.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, for real.
Save some money for that, but I would that would be the best. I've been there before and I enjoyed it. Not doing stand up though.
I don't know. I think I'd love to be an MC. I think because I think if the audience can interact with me, I've got a lot of material because I can just like bounce off people. I'm really good at that. I'm just really shit at prepared work. That's where I came unstuck on the open mics. I think as soon as my kind of charm started to wear off, and it was like, I need to tell a joke here, but I don't really have any.
Yeah, you got
they kind of turn on me.
It's good though. Some people have jokes but not personality, which is like also bad. So you've got the personality. All you got to do is write the jokes. So that's a good place to start at.
I don't know. I always thought of myself as like a Brody Stevens type person. When I've ever seen him and he's like been working a room, it's like it's really funny. I'm sure he obviously he's got like prepared material, but like he just seems to kind of like excel better when he's kind of just walking among the audience and stuff and like picking on people or answering questions and stuff.
Yeah, some people are really good at riffing.
Is that not you?
I mean, I like doing it sometimes. I like riffing somewhat, but I also try and write jokes and have like some jokes written. But yeah, no, I enjoy riffing with people. If the crowd is cool.
Do you ever get stoned? Do you find it easier? Because obviously weed's legal in California. Do you find it, if you do smoke it, do you find it creatively beneficial?
No, man, because like weed makes me so paranoid. Like I don't smoke at all.
Yeah.
When I smoke weed, I just think about all the stuff I'm not doing, and I start worrying about the future. So I'm just like, I'm done with weed. I have some jokes about when I used to smoke weed, but yeah,
let's stop worrying about the future.
I don't know how people. It makes me so paranoid of everything, so I just don't touch it.
So how do you flow as a writer? I mean, how many jokes a week do you think you can get out? How does it work? Do you write like a joke, or try and get a different joke for each open mic, and if it works, you just add it to the canon and like, I guess, develop it? Or I mean, how many jokes do you think you can get out a week?
I'm not sure. It depends on the week, you know. It's like, but I mean, if I can get out one good joke a week, that's awesome. You know, a lot of times jokes just suck. You think they're great, you do them, and then they're just like not that great, or they're not good enough for it to keep. But I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 3 jokes usually, I guess.
Have you ever had a joke that keeps bombing, but you know there's something in it, and you just keep trying to figure out a way of kind of like making it work?
Dude, I feel that way about every joke I've ever told. I'm like, this is genius. I don't understand why people don't get it. But I'm trying to like, I have this joke right now that's like totally ridiculous. It's out of left field. I was about. Have you ever seen the movie Legend of Bagger Vance?
Yeah, Will Smith.
Yeah, I just think that title is funny, Legend of Bagger Vance, like the title itself. So I've been like come up with a bunch of different things for it. Like, I won't do the joke right now, but I suggest a bunch of different things that work with that title. Like one of them is that I'm gonna do a film festival, and it's gonna have all different types of films, like horror, suspense, comedy, but all the films have to be called The Legend of Bagger Vance. I pick the winner, and I'll do that shit, and people will just look at me like I'm a retarded person, saying nonsense. Or like, get off the
You
stage.
can't say retarded anymore, Brandon. They've taken it off the menu.
It's okay, dude. Retarded people love me.
Well,
I'm huge. I have a lot of huge fans there, and then I have some of my best fans. Sometimes the only people that can relate to me are the mentally challenged.
Well, if anyone gives you any shit for saying it, just say retarded actually means slow, and that's all it means. I think people
Is that what I'm?
You can't.
That's what I meant to say.
Are there any like well, you can't say faggot anymore, can you? That's another naughty word. Apparently, you can't bloody say.
I think people still say that. I mean, I try not to say it if it. I mean, obviously, like I kind of feel similarly about that word than with the retarded word. It's like I don't mean it in the offensive way, but I understand people getting angry about it. I just hope they take me at my word that I'm not.
Tracy Morgan had that like that problem about 3 or 4 years ago, didn't he? When he said if my son was a faggot, I'd stab him. And I think
Yeah, that's like different. That's even worse. That's much worse than just saying.
It is in a sense, but I've always been of the mind if you're on a comedy stage, you're saying things frivolously in part of your act. Therefore, you can't. He had no defense for it in a sense because he didn't mean it in a sense. It's if you go into a comedy store, I think all bets are off. Unfortunately, I guess like if you have a music. Like go to a music show, you know what you're going to. If it's a country night, a rock night, with comedy, you don't really get that. No one tells you what kind of comedy it is when you go in, so you could be like deeply offended. But I think anyone complaining about a comedian doing his act, I think in a comedy club, all bets are off. Any subject should be talked about, however offensive it is, because you can't not offend people in a sense. Like anything you can say potentially. I certainly know this because I get in trouble on Facebook all the time with my frivolous and stupid things that I say in attempts to be funny, and you always get people like coming after you in a sense for it. And I don't know, maybe on Facebook of course, but on a comedy stage especially, you shouldn't be kind of like raked over the coals for anything you say, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should be, but it's like you can't blame people for being offended when you say stuff like "I'm gonna stab my gay son."
No, not at all. But I think when we say that and the people haven't heard the actual act, not to defend or decry anything Tracy Morgan.
It's ridiculous that a blog is like the reason that people got mad. Like, I don't understand anybody that would go to a comedy show and then go home and write a blog about it, positive or negative. And I mean, it would be nice if they were advertising the show or something, but just to like go home after a comedy show and say, "This is what I saw," and like have nothing that proves that that's what's actually happened. Like that is pretty lame.
Yeah, that's the danger, isn't it? Do you have any problem with like? Well, I guess you do. All comedians do. Would you have an issue with anyone recording your set on a phone or anything?
I can't imagine that anybody would, and I don't know what they. I mean, that would be lame if somebody was doing that, I suppose. But yeah, I mean,
that's a danger to many comedians, isn't it? If someone like starts recording work in progress in a sense, which might be a bit shitty at this point, but can obviously get better and go into an act. If someone kind of like, I guess posts it on YouTube or Facebook, it kind of fucks up your set in a sense, doesn't it?
I guess so. I'm not at the point where people are looking at me, looking online for my YouTube videos, but it would be. I would honestly be like, what? I would keep going, and I mean, people can film me and do whatever they want. It doesn't bother me. If I was working on a special that I was going to put on TV or something, maybe I'd get mad about, or I definitely would get mad about it. But I'm not doing that right now. So like any publicity whatsoever is good. Like if somebody really wants to load my stand-up on their Facebook wall, fucking do it.
Have you had any problems with joke thieves? People stealing your act?
Well, the weirdest thing was one time this guy who was following me on Twitter took my tweet and just like copied and pasted it into his Twitter and retweeted it, but changed the joke around a little bit. And I was just like, why would you know that we follow each other? Why would you do that? I sent him a message being like, normally people just hit the RT button. And he was like, "Oh, my bad, dude, my bad." But yeah, for the most part, nobody steals my shit.
Brendan, I thought your jokes were shitty, so I rewrote it and reworded it for you. There you go.
Exactly. I was like, it's almost more offensive than just stealing it. You like reworded it too. It made it less funny.
I stole your car, but I repainted it.
If somebody stole and repainted my car, that'd be really nice. Be like, thank you so much. My car.
You should start your own podcast.
I don't know, man. I don't have any ideas for a podcast.
You could do 30 minutes a week. It'd be easy. It'd be a good way of raising your profile, I think, and it'd be a good way of. It'd be like, write a boot camp in a sense. So you just like sharpen your comedy blade, as it were. I think
there's so many there's so many podcasts in LA that there's probably like another podcast being done in the house that I'm in right now. I think it's gonna get lost in the ether or whatever the saying is. Like even right tonight I'm going to another podcast after this one.
Really? Whose podcast is this? You double cheat two-timer.
Two comedians I know. I don't even know what it's called, and they're not gonna hear this. Probably, so, I don't feel bad that I don't know what it's called.
I'm sure it's son of a bitch. He's doing another podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you listen to any podcasts at all?
Yeah, there's a few. I really like Maron's podcast, and there's even a local podcast that I like. I don't listen to it all the time, but there's one. It's called "What I Hate About You."
Yeah.
It's like local comedians go on, and the host tells them what he doesn't like about them, and then their friends write in, like, usually they're jokey comments, but they're like what they don't like about that person at the end of it, and the person has to read it out loud. I did it, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the reading off what people don't like about me. So funny. Like, it was really fun. So I think that's a good show.
How long is the show?
What's that?
How long is the show on for? How long is the podcast?
It's usually about an hour. Usually it's like the first thing you do is you talk to the host, and then at the end you read them off. And I think like if you can come up with a specific idea, if it's not just people talking, usually. I mean, sometimes most of the time the ones that are talking are like the very top best is just people talking. But I think if you have like a specific idea, like What I Hate About You, it's like better off if you're a no-name person.
How do they feel now with what so they interview you, and then for the last 10 minutes they read out what people don't like about you?
Yeah, people have written in, and you just read it off the screen. So it's like Brennan is da 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 da, and then it's the person that you have to include your name. You can't just anonymously hate the person.
You need to start your own. Have you heard Bill Burr's podcast? I think you might like that.
I've heard some clips from it, but yeah, that's one I've always wanted to check out. But I haven't. I don't really listen to that one.
It's just him talking about his week. I think maybe you should try something like that. Just like do like a 10 or 15 minute thing a week. They're so easy to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't. I like Bill Burr. I saw Bill Burr practicing for his last special at a comedy club. I saw him do like the hour or whatever, and that was cool to see him. And he seems like a pretty nice guy outside of just being funny.
What are your biggest comedy influences, you think? Who are your favorite comedians? What made you want to do comedy in the first place?
I think I don't know if anyone like who has influenced me or like what like who the specific people that influenced me are, but my favorite comedians are probably George Carlin and Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock, and then like people that made me, I don't know, really get into it is probably them, like maybe like Nick Swartzen.
Mm-hmm.
Those comics, seeing them do it, and then like thinking, oh, I should try comedy. I think what made me get into it was my friend signing me up at that dive bar, though, because I really didn't think I could do it. I had like Mike Vick jokes back then.
Do you still think that?
Would I still think what?
Do you still think you can do it?
Oh yeah. But now I think there's a shot. I mean, I'm crazy enough to think that there's a shot.
I think there is, totally. Dude, you're the funniest fucking dude I met at that fucking thing. I was like, oh, I like this guy. He's funny.
Thank you. And I think you're funny too, so I appreciate you saying that.
Well, thank you. I am funny. I just I need to fucking find a stage to put it all on, basically. So this is my platform at the moment. Oh my god. Oh, COONEY. Yeah, no, I'd love to come back to LA. It's just the visa thing's a problem. So I could come there, but then I guess I wouldn't be able to. Oh god, that's the only problem. It's just that 3-month thing. You can be there for 3 months, then you have to leave. You can't get a job. I had to make like $3,000 last 3 months. So I was like living on fumes from the dollar store, doing comedy with you. And COONEY's gone. Hello, Brandon COONEY. Oh my.
I lost you.
You son of a bitch.
I have no idea. I was just talking to nothing for a few minutes there.
No, it's cool. No, I was just saying I'd love to come back. It's just the visa thing's problem. I wouldn't be able to get a job out there. That's the only bloody problem. What do you do for a job out there? What are you doing?
Right now I work for Hulu. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, the TV channel.
Yeah, that TV channel. I do tech services at home, so people call in and they're like, I can't get Hulu up on my Roku, and then I tell them how to do it.
Well, that sounds cool. So you can work from home.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's cool to be able to work from home, and Hulu's pretty nice as far as the company goes.
So people call you. You're in your living room. So you just how often do you have to do that a day? Is it just whenever a call comes in, or is it constant?
It's fairly constant. Yeah, I just sit at my desk and I take calls and I try and like troubleshoot with people when their Hulu's not working.
How did you learn how Hulu was working? Did you do a training course?
Yeah, we did some training, and then there's like a bunch of like tools that you can use online to figure stuff out. It's day job, man's boring.
Why don't you just work at the Comedy Store and try and be like do the door or something like Duncan Trussell started or anything like that?
It's hard to get a job there. You kind of got to hang out all the time, and like they just hired 2 new door guys like a month ago or whatever. So there's probably not going to be much turnover.
What about working in the kitchen or being a waiter or something?
You'd be surprised at how hard it is to get like a server job out in Los Angeles. I mean, like it's so ridiculous how how many years have you been a server? Like, and all this shit is like, isn't it just taking people food? And they're like, well, you need to have experience with the POS or some nonsense. So it's like,
so just lie.
Yeah, I know. I should just lie, but yeah, I don't know. This job is fine for now. You also don't get paid a lot doing those jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I suppose you make banking tips. So what's this other podcast you're going to after this?
2 open mic comedians I know have a show or have a podcast at their house. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know what it's called? Is it on iTunes or anything?
Literally don't know what it's called.
You bastard.
I can look it up on my phone. Let's see what it's called.
Have your parents seen you stand up? What do they think of you?
They've seen like videos of me doing stand up, and they'll tell me I'm funny, but you know, they think everything I do is great, so it's not really much of a...
Do you ever want to go into acting and stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. I'm kind of like intimidated, to be honest, by acting classes. They scare me, but...
How can a stand-up comedian be scared of acting classes?
I don't know. It just seems so weird to do an acting class.
So I can do an acting class, but it terrifies me to do stand-up.
Well, there you go, man. I think you fear what you don't know. I'm afraid I'm going to go into a room of a bunch of people that are like way better looking than me, and then I'll do a scene, and they'll be like, you seem really deadpan or some bullshit. People have been telling me I'm deadpan my whole life.
That's so good, though. I think, yeah, but I think in acting classes, it shouldn't really matter. Everyone has their own look and stuff. It's not... Is it really that based on looks in LA, do you think, in the acting world?
For sure, dude. Are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Even if you're good?
I'm not worried about that as much as I am, like, just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm probably not that great at acting.
Well, it's not that. I think as you grow as a comedian and get bigger and bigger, I think it will find you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I want to take an acting class just in case, like, if I do get...
Like an audition technique.
Stand up, yeah, I want to be able to... I mean, I tried improv, and I thought improv was pretty dumb. But my acting class, I think I might like a little bit more than improv.
Well, you can always call me. I can give you some pointers. I've got scripts and stuff you can practice. I can teach you audition technique in a heartbeat.
Yeah, dude, I would love that. I mean, you're the person I'd hit out for that for sure.
Wow. I don't think anyone in London would agree with that. I need to find a new agent. That's what I've got to do this month. My agent, they all got shit canned basically in November, and then that was the end of that. So,
yeah.
It sucks. I think that's the beauty of being a stand-up in a sense that you're a self-contained unit. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you've got yourself to rely on, and you've always got something to fall back on. And I think as the comedy grows and the job can subside away, the other job you've got, you won't have to worry about acting really. I think it will find you. And I think if you didn't get an audition, it's not the end of the world. I think when an actor kind of doesn't get an audition and that's all you've got to rely on, you kind of like your world kind of crumbles in a sense, and you have to kind of get back up and do it all over again.
Yeah.
So as a comedian, you're in the best position, I think, really. So you're going to do great, I think. That's what I think.
Thanks, man.
That's what I think. Well, Coonbag.
Yeah, I gotta get rolling for this other fucking podcast. I just realized we've been talking because it's at 9, I think.
Yeah, no, we've done 50 minutes.
Tight. That didn't even seem like 50 minutes to me, man.
Well, we should do this again, not for this show, but I think you should call in for the...
You were terrible. Not for this show, but maybe...
You sucked. I'm deleting this. No, cause this is just my kind of like getting to talk to weird and wacky people around the world podcast.
That's awesome. That's really cool, man.
But like my funny podcast, whether people agree with that or not, is the Terminator one. But you should call in and do one of those with us. I think you'd be great.
Okay. Sure, man. I'll try to be easier to get in touch with. I've just been fucking with this job and moving and all that stuff, I've been like,
Well, I did call you like a day before. I went, can you do a podcast tomorrow? And you're like, okay. So it's not anyone's fault. I understand completely. I just think we should do more stuff together. I get on ever so well with you, and you're the most talented man I know. So we should do more stuff.
absolutely, dude.
I'll be your bridge to London, and
only like American British show together, like two oddballs or something. I don't know. One guy gets laid all the time. The other guy has a hot girlfriend somehow. Nobody understands why.
No, for sure. I don't know. We'll come up with an idea. We'd do like a transatlantic podcast once every couple of weeks. It's easy to do, I promise you, and it will help. It's a good platform, and I can learn something about comedy, and I can teach someone about acting.
I gotta get rolling because I'm gonna be late to this guy's.
No, that's cool. Where can listeners find you if they want to find you? What's your Twitter, Brendan?
My Twitter is COONEY or Die. COONEY is my last name, and then or Die. You can see me on Twitter.
Are you worth finding on Facebook or YouTube?
Facebook is just my name. I definitely, if you're British and you want to friend me, I'll accept your friend request only if you're British, probably. I don't have Instagram. YouTube, I don't know. I mean, I got a few stand-up videos on YouTube, but yeah, I should probably make some more videos and put on YouTube. I don't really have much of a...
You should, well, I guess, do some old material and get someone to film it, maybe. It's always good to have some stuff, I guess, up so people can actually see you, casting directors especially.
True. That's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, listeners, I will link all Brendan's stuff underneath this video on SoundCloud, iTunes, and of course YouTube. You can find Brendan at COONEY or Die on Twitter. So look him up, friend him, follow him. You've got 25,000 followers, by the way. How have you pulled that off? You talented fuck.
I don't know. I think that's just like meeting more people out here. Is like maybe more people follow me on Twitter now than, I don't know, or maybe I got funnier. Probably the previous thing.
He got funnier.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brendan COONEY or Die. You beautiful man. I've not spoke to you for 3 years. It's been great. I hope to do this more often. We need to do something together. I think we'll help each other.
Let's do it, man.
Or you can help me. My flailing in the wind here. But yeah, great, Brennan, so good to talk to you, dude. We really should do this again. The funniest man in LA.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll take it.
And good luck with your 30 minutes, 45 minutes on Saturday.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
How you do it, I do not know. If I can find enough freaking comedy clubs in this goddamn town, I'll be trailing a blaze behind you. Trailblazing. But yeah.
Yeah, look into it. Find them.
Have fun, motherfucker, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you all for listening, everyone. Brendan COONEY, Ethan McKinley. This has been Questionable. You can find me, obviously, on YouTube and Facebook, just like Brendan, under the show. Please like the page and follow the show. Subscribe. Over and out.
All right, Ethan. Peace.
See you later, brother. Take care.